Hello readers, S.M. Cornthwaite here, author of Jack the Ripper, The Man Behind the Blade, which is an Author House published book available in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook, narrated by the very talented Benjamin Hunter. We also have the Hollow Scream series, Day of the Dolls, and Ghost House, which are KDP published books for ages 6 or 7 and up. For fans of Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, junior horror novels like that. Make sure you pick up a copy for the book lover in your life. It really helps me out a lot. I am working on a few other books that will be published in the near future. I can't wait to present those to you as well. But today we're going to be looking at The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Other Stories by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is, I do believe, a Barnes & Noble classic leather-bound. Yeah, it is a little bit smaller than the other ones to compare, that we've looked at to compare, as you can see there. Just a little bit smaller width and about an inch or so in length. But I have actually listened to the audiobook of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when I was doing lawn care for a living. That's really how I got started with my love of books, of literature. I would listen to audiobooks all the time. I wasn't much of a reader before that. Occasionally, if I saw a book that really caught my eye, I would read it. But after high school, I didn't really read a whole lot until I started listening to audiobooks. And in the last year or so, I've really started getting more and more into reading. I consumed about 75 books in the year of 2021 between audiobooks and physical books. And this was one of the audiobooks I listened to, and I really enjoyed it. So I do have this copy as well as another copy, which I'll show you here in just a moment. I do have this copy of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, as well as this one, which I just finished reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I'm going to be doing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde next, and then I'll probably end it with Dracula, simply because Dracula is the thickest, the longest of the stories. And as you can see, I do have them marked. We have Frankenstein here. We have Dracula here. Oh, Frankenstein here at the front of the book, Dracula in the center, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at the end. So I'll probably do Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde next, followed by Dracula. And once I'm finished with all of them, I will review them here through this book, which, as you can see, was introduced by Stephen King. Very cool book, which I'll be going over later in the year. But looking at this one, it feels like faux leather. I'm not going to lie. This one doesn't feel like real leather like the other ones did. I'm not sure if it is or not. I don't think it is really. It's too smooth to be real leather. I don't know. I think this one might be faux leather. But that's okay. It's still a cool book. Very nice. Got the vial of serum there on the cover and on the binding. All human beings are commingled out of good and evil. Robert Louis Stevenson, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I'm really looking forward to reading some of the other stories by Robert Louis Stevenson in this book. Similar to one of the classic horror stories books we took a look at. Very simplified inner cover. You got The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde there. And as you can see, it is a Barnes & Noble Classic Edition. You have the introduction, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on page 1. Other stories included are Will o' the Mill, Markheim, Thrawn Janet, Olalla, The Bottle Imp, The Isle of Voices, The Waif Woman, and The Body Snatcher, which, if you recall, was included in one of my classic horror storybooks. This was published in 2016, it looks like. Cover art by Jessica Hish. In papers by Andy Maggie and I Stock. And nothing really special about the leafing on the edges. It's almost like a velvety style, kind of almost construction paper feel on the edges. And the pages are very much thicker. But I love that letter art there. Very nice. And it does have a satin bookmark. Very beautiful book. I really like it. The binding does need kind of broken a little bit in order to open it up all the way, which I'm kind of hesitant to do, simply because I like keeping my books in very, very good near mint condition. I don't like breaking the spines on them. Usually whenever I read a book, it'll generally be a paperback. These are like my collectible editions. I really like leather-bound books. I'm really getting into them. They're just beautiful books in general. And as you can see, you got gold leafing on the embossed letters. Very nice. Very gorgeous book. I think I'm going to have to try and find this in paperback, because I'm really hesitant on actually breaking the spine of the book in order to read these. Even though it feels good in the hands, you know. I might be able to read it like this without breaking the spine. Further back you go, the harder it gets. But, you know, the front of the book isn't too bad. It's the last half of the book that I'm really worried about having to crack the spine. So there you guys have it. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Other Stories by Robert Louis Stevenson. The Barnes & Noble Classic Leather-Bound Edition. Like I said, I don't think this is actually leather, real leather. I think this might be faux leather. But it's still a beautiful book. Feels good in the hands, nonetheless. So, there you have it. And don't forget to check out... go on to Amazon and purchase my books, Jack the Ripper, The Man Behind the Blade, my own original theory of who I believe Jack the Ripper actually was. It is available in paperback, hardcover, ebook, and audiobook, narrated by Benjamin Hunter. And then we have the Hollow Scream series, Day of the Dolls and Ghost House. Very fun juvenile horror stories. Day of the Dolls is inspired by a recurring nightmare I had growing up, and Ghost House is just a fun ghost story for kids. In fact, I'll turn these around and let you see, read the blurb on the back, so you can decide if they sound interesting enough to pick up. All right, so again, check them out on Amazon. These were published through KDP. This one was published through Author House. It really helps me out a lot, guys. I really want to continue writing and making this a career for myself. I enjoy being creative. I've got multiple YouTube channels that just aren't really doing it for me anymore. I've always loved storytelling. So yeah, pick them up at Amazon.com. You can find them all under my name, S.M. Cornthwaite. You type that into the search engine, and all my books will show up. I am working on a few others, so make sure you keep an eye out for those. I've been S.M. Cornthwaite. Take care, readers.